Students, myself is Dr. Pinke Suttaria, working as an assistant professor at Department of Chemistry, Bhavans College, Dakor. So, as we have started organic spectroscopy, okay. So, in our previous lecture, we have seen the instrumentation part of UV spectrometer. Now, today we are going to learn about the Woodward and Fisher rules. Okay, Woodward and Fisher rules for calculating lambda maximum in dynes. So in today's lecture we are focusing on Woodward and Fisher rules for calculating lambda maximum in dynes. So let us understand what they have suggested or what they had suggested. In simple way you can say that longer the conjugated system, greater the wavelength of the absorbance maximum. So if you are having a conjugated system, suppose what is conjugated? Suppose if you are having single bond, okay, there is C single bond C, then after we are having a double bond, then after single bond, then after we are having double bond, then after we are having single bond. So single bond, double bond, this is known as conjugated system. Okay, so they had suggested that if we are having a maximum conjugated system, then we are having a maximum lambda maximum. Then we are having a maximum lambda maximum. So why we require to study about this lambda maximum? Okay, or why we require to study these rules? So from the instrument we can calculate what will be the lambda maximum of particular compound. Okay, but by as a theoretical point of view, suppose if I am giving a compound like this, okay, suppose this is my compound, let's say, okay, here we are having a CS3 group, here we are having C2H5 group, okay, here I am having a Cl group. So what will be the lambda maximum of this compound? Okay, so by theoretical way you can calculate this lambda maximum by using Woodward and Fisher rules. That is why it is important to learn about this thing. Now this lambda maximum or this lambda maximum graph will be obtained only by the instrument, but when we are using this rule we can easily calculate the lambda maximum by applying the rules. So let us understand the rules and the important terminology in lambda maximum calculation. So first of all, acyclic dienes or dienes contained in open chain system. Okay, first one you have to identify acyclic diene or diene system. Okay, now what is diene system? Suppose if I am calculating this as a diene system. Okay, now this is diene system when we are having a two double bond. So this is generally known as diene system. It is not a cyclic. Okay, that is why it is known as a cyclic diene. You have to put over here hydrogen. Okay, this is hydrogen, this is hydrogen, this is hydrogen, this is CH2 group. Okay, generally we are having a 1,3-butadiene group. You just have to identify this group, that is 1 number, 2 number, 3 number and 4 number. 1 number as well as 3 number which is having a double bond, that is I am putting a 1 3. Okay, there are 4 carbon atom, that is I am put down over here a butane, and here we are having a 2 alkene group that combines together, they can form as a diene. So this diene for the 2 alkene group, that is why we are calling about the 1,3-butadiene. So just you have to identify a cyclic diene or diene system in your given structure. So in examination they will ask one structure, then after you have to apply that all the rules in that structure, and then you have to calculate the lambda maximum. So first of all you have to identify whether it is having a cyclic diene or diene system. So this is a acyclic diene system, okay, or we can say the diene system. So whatever the basic unit or whatever the base value, okay, base value I will give you in the last. What will be the base value if suppose particular compound or particular group is present, what will be the base value of that particular group or particular linkage. So that we will understand in the last segment of this lecture. So first of all, you just have to identify what is the acyclic diene and diene system. So this is our diene system. You just have to see this diene system and then you have to apply that basic value. Okay, now let us understand two important words. First one, that is homoannular diene system. Okay, homoannular diene system, and second one, that is heteroannular diene system. Okay, first one, that is homoannular diene system, and second one, that is a heteroannular diene system. So let us understand the first terminology, that is homoannular diene system. Now what is homoannular diene system? Suppose if your compound is like this, okay, suppose if you are having a cyclic compound like this, when we are having a double bond in conjugation in one ring, okay, then it is known as homoannular diene system. Now you just have to see the 1,3-butadiene in every structure. Suppose if I am writing over here, so what will be the structure? CH double bond, here we are having CH, single bond CH, double bond CH. There is a linkage over here, there is a linkage over here, but the general structure that is having a 1,3-butadiene, you just have to see 1,3-butadiene in every structure. So here we are having a diene system in which homoannular diene system. Why it is homoannular diene system? Because it is having in a double bond which is having in a one ring. So that is why it is known as homoannular diene system. One of the most important thing in homoannular diene system, that you will find a cissoid, okay, cissoid structure. What is cissoid? Now here I am drawing a structure of homoannular diene system, okay, like this, okay. So now whatever the double bond that is present in this structure, that is having a same structure, or we can say the cis type structure, that is why it is known as cissoid structure, okay. So this is the example of the homoannular diene system. Now let us draw one more example of homoannular diene system. Suppose if you are having this type of structure, let's say suppose if you are having a linkage over there, okay, this is a linkage over there. Now if I am having a double bond over here, okay, double bond should be conjugated. Now this double bond, single bond, double bond, again I am drawing CH, double bond CH, single bond CH, double bond CH. So now we are having a 1,3-butadiene in a same ring. That is why it is known as homoannular diene system. Okay, now you have to remember this thing. Homoannular diene system, when we are having a double bond in conjugation in cissoid type structure, then it is known as homoannular diene system. At that time you have to just add the base value of homoannular diene system. Whatever the base value, I will give you in the last segment of this lecture. So this is the homoannular diene system. Now let us draw one more example for homoannular diene system. Say suppose if you are having double bond like this, okay, that is not possibility of double bond, but if we are having non-conjugation double bond, then it is not possible for homoannular diene system, okay. Homoannular diene system, it is not possible, okay. Let us draw one more example. Suppose if you are having a double bond like this, okay, suppose if I am having a double bond like this, suppose if I am having a double bond like this. So here we are having a double bond, single bond, single bond and double bond. Here also we are having single bond, double bond. So at that time this is not a homoannular diene system. You have to remember just only we are having a two double bond in one ring, it is not showing any type of homoannular diene system. The double bond should be conjugation like this: CH double bond CH, single bond CH, double bond CH. Here we are having linkage in cyclic system. So at that time you just have to consider the homoannular diene system. Whatever the ring, suppose if you are having a double bond like this, let's say suppose okay, now if you are having double bond like this, if you are having double bond like this, so it is not a homoannular diene system. Okay, the double bond should be conjugation. Second one, the double bond should have a scissor type of structure. Okay, now in C part we will discuss about the heteroannular diene system. What is heteroannular diene system? Okay, now heteroannular diene system. What is heteroannular diene system? Suppose if we are having heteroannular conjugated double bond that are present in a structure in a same ring or not in the same ring. Okay, just I have to correct my sentence. It should not have in the same ring. Suppose if I am having a double bond like this, okay, double bond should not be present in the same ring, then and then we have to apply heteroannular diene system. Okay, suppose if I am having this type of structure, now in this structure if I am having a double bond like this is a double bond, now we are having a single bond, this is a double bond. Okay, so now if I am having a conjugated system in which we are having a two ring, let's say A and B. Now if the double bond is present in a two ring and both are in a conjugation, here we are having conjugation CH double bond CH, here we are having single bond CH and double bond CH. So we are having a 1,3-butadiene type of structure in a cyclic structure, then we have to consider this is a heteroannular diene system. Suppose if we are having a homoannular diene system, suppose if we are having a homoannular diene system, like say suppose if I am having double bond over here, then in the same ring, suppose if you are having double bond over here, a double bond, single bond, double bond. Now it is not in a conjugation, so we do not have to consider this as a homoannular diene system. This is a heteroannular diene system in which the 1,3-butadiene is present. Now this heteroannular diene system which is having a transoid structure, okay, they will present in a trans position. If you are looking over here, this is a transoid structure. Okay, I am drawing over here. So this is a transoid structure, double bond, single bond and double bond. Okay, so now this is a transoid structure in heteroannular diene system. You just have to apply the base value for the heteroannular diene system. Okay. Okay, now let us understand a D part, that is exocyclic and endocyclic double bond. Now what do you mean by the exocyclic and endocyclic double bond? So let us take one example for the exocyclic as well as the endocyclic double bond. Suppose if I am having a ring like this, okay, now if I am having a double bond over here, okay, and second double bond over here, you have to remember that the double bond should be in a conjugation or it should not be in a conjugation for the calculation of exocyclic and endocyclic double bond. Suppose if I am having one ring over here, let's say this is only a one ring, that's say A. Now this double bond which is outside of the ring, that is why it is known as exocyclic double bond. Okay, the double bond should be present outside of the ring, so that is why it is known as exocyclic double bond. Now what do you mean by the endocyclic double bond? Suppose if you are having a double bond that is present in the, what we can say, in the ring, okay, then and then it is known as endocyclic double bond. Okay, then you have to add the value for the exocyclic double bond or endocyclic double bond. Now generally we are adding the value for the exocyclic double bond. You just have to consider the exocyclic double bond. Why? because endocyclic double bond that should be present for the homoannular diene system as well as the heteroannular diene system. So you just don't have to calculate any value for the endocyclic double bond. You just have to see whatever the exocyclic double bond that is present in the ring. Let's say suppose if I am drawing a structure like this, okay, suppose if you are having a double bond over here in a bicyclic compound, okay, or we are having a cyclic compound, not bicyclic compound. Suppose if I am having a double bond over here, double bond over here, and if I am having double bond over here, okay, now we are having a two ring, let's say A and B. Okay, now just remember this thing. Suppose if I want to calculate the exocyclic double bond for the A ring, so I just have to see the double bond that are present over this carbon atom. Suppose if I am closing this A ring by the hand and I am seeing the double bond over here, so there is only one double bond that is adjacent to this carbon. So that is why there are one exocyclic double bond for the A ring, okay, for the A ring. Now suppose if I want to calculate the exocyclic double bond for the B ring, so what I have to do, I have to close my ring B, then I have to see whatever the double bond that are present over this carbon atom. So here we are not having any double bond. Let's say suppose if we are not having double bond over here, double bond over here, so there is no exocyclic double bond for the ring B. Okay, in examination they will ask the 3-member ring, 6-member ring. Okay, there should be a 4 ring present in a structure. Then you have to calculate the individual ring. Then you just have to sum up this ring. So if I want to calculate the exocyclic double bond for this compound, so there will be the one exocyclic double bond. Again I am explaining, just listen carefully. Suppose if I want to calculate the double bond, okay, for example, suppose if I am having a structure like this, okay, let's say suppose if I am having a structure like this, double bond over here, double bond over here, that is A and B ring. Suppose if I want to calculate the exocyclic double bond for the A ring, what I have to do, I just have to see the adjacent, okay, the joint carbon atom. This is the joint carbon atom for A and B ring. So I have to see the whether this double bond present over this carbon atom or this carbon atom. So there is only one double bond that is present adjacent to the A ring. That is why that is one exocyclic double bond for ring A. Okay, suppose if I want to calculate the exocyclic double bond for the ring B, what I have to do, I have to close this ring B and then we have to see whether there is any double bond present over here. So there is no double bond present over here, so I have to write down there is 0 exocyclic double bond for ring B. Then I have to sum up this thing, there is one, okay, there is one exocyclic double bond for the total ring. Okay, so there is total one exocyclic double bond present in this structure. Then we have to consider the total, there is one double bond that is present on this structure. Okay, so we are here, we are having one exocyclic double bond that is present in the structure. Okay, now let us take one more example for the exocyclic double bond. Okay, so I am drawing the structure of another molecule and try to find out the exocyclic double bond in the ring. Okay, suppose if I am having this type of ring and here I am having a double bond and here also we are having a double bond. Okay, so now I have to calculate the exocyclic double bond for ring A and ring B. So let us start with the ring A. So what I have to do, I just have to close this ring A and then I have to see whether any double bond present over this. So I am saying over here that is one double bond present over here, that is exo to the A ring. Okay, this double bond, it is a exo to the ring A. So I have to put over here one exocyclic double bond. Okay, one exocyclic double bond for ring A. Clear? Now second one, suppose if I want to calculate the ring B, I just have to close this ring B, then I have to see whether any double bond present over here. So there is one double bond, it is exo to the ring B, then I have to put over here one exocyclic double bond for ring B. Then I have to sum up this thing, and then I have to say that this structure which is having a two exocyclic double bond, one for the ring A and one for the ring B. Okay, so whatever the double bond present, you just have to sum up, and then you have to say that this structure is having a two exocyclic double bond or three exocyclic double bond, whatever the double bond present in that structure. Okay, so now first of all, Woodward formulated certain empirical rules for calculating this lambda maximum. Okay, now Woodward was the first scientist who formulated these rules for the lambda maximum, but in 1945 or 1948 Fisher, okay, Fisher came up with some modification in this structure, okay, in these rules and regulation for the Woodward. So that is why it is combined together and say that Woodward and Fisher rules for the calculating lambda maximum. Okay, so now suppose you have to just see the substitution. So now in the last one, whatever the substituent, okay, whatever the substituent that is present in the structure, you just have to add their value. Okay, substitutions like alkyl substitution, that is CH3 substitution, or we can have a Cl, Br, OR, okay, and SR group. Okay, so whatever the functional group that are present in that structure, you just have to add the value for that particular type of structure. There are two more things that we have to understand, that is a ring residue and extended conjugation. Okay, extended conjugation. Okay, now these two terminology we will see in example, that is ring residue and extended conjugation. Okay, now let us revise fast what we have learned. First of all, we have to identify the diene system. Second one, suppose homoannular diene system. Third one, that is heteroannular diene system. Fourth one, that is exocyclic double bond. Okay, and the fifth one, whatever the substituent present in the compound, you just have to add their value, that is Cl, Bri, Sr, CH3 group, and etc. Okay, in F we are having a ring residue that we will see in the example, ring residue, and G, okay, we are having a extended conjugation. Okay, this last two terminology we will see in example. Okay, so now let us understand the base value for this all functional group or system. Okay, so now I am writing here that is the system. Okay, whatever the system, or what we can say functional groups or substituent, okay, that are present in a structure, and what its value, whatever the value we are adding, that are in a nanometer. Okay, so now let us start first, that is parent value for butadiene system. Okay, suppose if you are having just butadiene system, this is the parent value, or what we can say the base value, the parent value for the butadiene system or a cyclic conjugated diene. Okay, that is cyclic conjugated diene. Okay, betadiene system or cyclic conjugated diene. Then we have to add 217 nanometer, that is the value, nanometer that is unit for the base value. So here we are having a betadiene system. Let's say suppose if you are having this type of system, CH2 CH single bond CH, okay, double bond CH2. If suppose if you are having this type of structure, then we have to add 217 value, that is the 217 as a base value for this system. Okay, suppose if we are having a homoannular conjugated diene, okay, let's say if we are having a homoannular conjugated diene system, then we have to add 253 nanometer. Okay, third one, suppose if we are having a heteroannular diene system, then we have to add 215 nanometer as a base value. Okay, first one, that is betadiene, that is 217, homoannular 253 and heteroannular 215. Now in examination they will in your examination paper they will give you this value, so you just don't have to mug up this value. But certain point of time, suppose if you are calculating this example for let's say 10 and 15 example, if you are calculating, then you will have this idea about the value for this system, that is homoannular system, heteroannular system, 253 215. Okay, so you just don't have to worry about this value. The value should be given in your examination paper. You just have to identify the system and put this value and calculate this example. Okay, so now let us understand some more value. Suppose if we are having a alkyl substituent, okay, if we are having a alkyl substituent, or what we can say the ring residue, okay, then you just have to add 5 nanometer. Okay, you just have to add 5 nanometer. Now suppose if we are having a exocyclic double bond, okay, now this should be multiplication. Suppose if we are having a one alkyl substituent, so we are adding a 5 nanometer. Okay, if suppose if I am having a 3 alkyl substituent, so you just have to multiply by 3, then you have to add 15 nanometer. Okay, that is the basic. Suppose if I am calculating about the exocyclic double bond, then I have to add 5 nanometer. Okay, in for the one exocyclic double bond, suppose if I am having a 4 exocyclic double bond, then I have to multiply by 4, then we have to add 20 nanometer. Okay, for one exocyclic double bond you just have to add 5 nanometer. Whatever the substituent that are present, you just have to multiply by this 4 3 2 whatever the exocyclic double bond present in the structure. Okay, now sixth one, that is the double bond conjugation. Okay, that is the double bond conjugation. Now for the double bond conjugation you just have to add 30 nanometer. Okay, now in example we are adding, suppose if I am calculating about the double bond conjugation, what is double bond or what we can say extended conjugation. Suppose this is my homoannular diene system, that is the single bond double bond single bond double bond. Okay, now here we are having single bond. Suppose if I am having double bond over here, double bond over here, then this is our system, homoannular system. Now there is one extra double bond, this is present in a conjugation, that is why I am adding a 30 nanometer. Suppose if I am having a double bond over here, okay, then I have to add one more for the 30 nanometer. So just I have to add 2 into 30 nanometer, so that will be 60 nanometer. So this is known as extended conjugation. This is for the system. Then there is a one double bond present in a conjugation, there is another double bond present in a conjugation, then we have to add one more 30 nanometer for the extra conjugation. One more thing I have to explain over here. Suppose if I am having a structure like this, okay, let's say if you are having a structure like this, okay, so there is a double bond over here. Now this is our system, that is homoannular diene system. Now here I am having a single bond, the double bond should be present over here, but it is not present over here, it is present over here. So I do not have to calculate 30 nanometer for this. This is not known as a extended conjugation. What is extended conjugation? So here suppose if I am putting double bond over here, okay, double bond over here, then I have to calculate this double bond as the extended conjugation. This will not count as the extended conjugation. You just have to see double bond, single bond, double bond, single bond, double bond, single bond. Now single bond and double bond. So there should be a single bond, double bond, single bond, double bond, single bond, double bond. If suppose this type of chain is present, then you just have to calculate it. You have to calculate the extended conjugation. Okay, suppose if you are having this type of functional group, suppose if you are having OR group, SR group, CLBr, NR2 and OCUCS3, we just have to add this type of value for this group. 6 nanometer for OR, for SR there is 30 nanometer, 5 nanometer for the CLBr, 60 nanometer for the NR2 and 0 nanometer for the OCUCS3. Now you just have to write down these all rules and regulation for Woodward and Fisher. Suppose if you are not knowing these rules, you will not have any idea regarding example. Okay, now in any type of spectroscopy, suppose this is the spectroscopy for the BSc 5. Now when we are having this spectroscopy in MSc level, you just have to identify, okay, MSc 1 and MSc 3, or we can have 2 and 4. Okay, now in MSc level you are having a mixed type of example in which we are having UV data, IR data, NMR data, 13C NMR data, ESI mass data. Then for all this data you just have to find out the structure of that particular given example. So this is the only basic level of spectroscopy. In your syllabus you are having only UV spectroscopy as a separated example, IR spectroscopy as a separated example, but in MSc level you are having the example which should contain IR data, UV data, 13C NMR data, 1H NMR data and ESI mass data. Then for using these all 5 data you just have to find out the structure of the particular given data. So I request all of you, you just revise these rules again and again and write down the parent value that I have told you in the last segment of my lecture. You just have to keep one note, and from this you just have to write down these all rules and regulation. Okay, so now in next lecture we will see about the example of this UV spectroscopy. Okay, so I hope you like this video. Thank you for watching it.